Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
Hello, my trigger happy friends. My name is Stevie Cade, and thank you for joining me as I continue my journey reviewing all the Batman live action movies. And you might know that I'm also reviewing all the Superman live action movies leading up to my review of Batman v Superman. But before we get started, if you could, hit that subscribe button and that little bell ding thing. And also give me a little thumbs up if you could too, please. Thanks. So you get notified every time I upload a new video. And one more thing before we dive into this review, I wanted to give a shout out to my new patron, the Crazy Hedgehog Lady. Thank you so much for being one of my patrons. It's a huge help to this channel, and you left me a very endearing message, and I'm actually going to share some of that message with the rest of YouTube right now. I just want to show appreciation for how you made me feel. I just wanted to say hi and tell you your videos help me keep smiling even when I'm stuck in bed or in the damn hospital. I'll keep spreading the word about your channel. I'm a writer, and I'll give you a shout out in my next article. That is wonderful. I had the biggest smile on my face when I read that. You really made me feel special, and I'm glad that I make you smile as well. And there's nothing crazy about having hedgehogs. I used to have a hedgehog, and I actually own a pig now, and a dog, and a cat. Yikes. So you're not alone in this crazy world. And if any of you out in YouTube world want to join the Crazy Hedgehog Lady and being one of my patrons, click in the link below. It will take you right there. I have 3 different options, all 3 affordable, all 3 with exclusive content. Grab your keyboards, head down to the comments section, and let's review The Dark Knight. In this movie, Batman has been able to keep a tight lid on the crime in Gotham. But when a young criminal calling himself the Joker suddenly throws a town into chaos, the Caped Crusader begins to tread a fine line between heroism and breaking his one rule. But before we dive into the actual review, I'm going to do my Batman checklist. This is a checklist I like to do, kind of compare notes between movies to see what's changed, what stayed the same, and see what new toys he has. The Bat Suit. This is a more tactical suit with separated plates for better mobility. And it just kind of looks pretty darn cool. Yeah, this suit looks badass. And it's a very creative way to change the look of Batman, because up until this point, we've had multiple Bat suits. They've always just kind of changed the cosmetics of it and never the functionality. Though the suit does give him a smaller, slimmer look, he doesn't have that same towering presence that he had in the previous film. It definitely gave him an upgrade and a refreshing change. The Batmobile. We still have the same badass tumbler from before. The Bat Pod, which apparently the tumbler gives birth to. This is this movie's version of the Bat Cycle, which is essentially just a modified street bike with cool Bat stuff added to it. But this vehicle is actually pretty badass. Really great addition to the movie. The Bat Cave is not seen in this movie. Okay, cool. You know what? First movie without a Bat Cave. We are actually given this underground bunker sort of thing. It gives more layers to the Batman mythology. You know, that he doesn't just have just one Bat Cave, but he has multiple Bat hidings that all have the same minimalized, you know, Bat Cave stuff. You have the surveillance area and the area for your basic Bat needs. And we also get to see the cool fallout shelter elevator thing that takes them down into this bunker. Although I did happen to notice we don't really get to see the tumbler get in and out of this place secretly, considering it's a shipyard. Bat gadgets, and we got some goodies. We have the Bat Pack. That's right. It's a play on words. I don't know if they call it that, but that's what I'm calling it. It's that little backpack thing where his cape sucks into or comes out from. We only get to see it used once in this movie, but originally it was designed for him to use when he was on the Bat Pod, so his cape didn't get stuck in tires, but they found out that the cape just doesn't naturally get stuck in a tire, so they didn't find any need for it. Good concept, and we did get to see a little bit of it. I would have liked to see more of it utilized, what situations he would need this for, but still cool. The collapsible bomb launcher that Batman uses to shoot these little sticky bomb things on stuff. It's like bat snot or something. Yeah, I'm sure that's what it is, bat snot. Sonar bat goggles. We did get a glimpse of this same exact concept in Batman Forever, but this movie really breaks down the science behind it and gives us a really badass scene. And then we have the bat drill or Dremel or whatever that thing is that he uses to remove the brick from the wall. Yeah, that's a thing. I don't really see many uses for that, but I'm glad he had it in that situation specifically. With the Batman checklist out of the way, let's jump into what I like about this film, the score. I I did not bring up the score in my Batman Begins review because I guess I just didn't notice it all that much. For some reason in this movie, the score really stood out. It really fit the tone this movie had. And maybe I noticed it more because of the contrast it had with the Joker's score, which had this slow build of intensity behind it. And perhaps those two contrasts is what made this score jump out at me more than it did in the previous film. Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne and Batman. Okay, the Bat voice. We all know about the Bat voice. He grumbles a little bit more with it in this one, and it's kind of hard to understand him sometimes. I don't know what the problem was with the previous film's Bat voice, but it's there, it's a thing. With that aside, I think the way Christian Bale actually plays Bruce Wayne in this movie was fantastic. As the audience, we know that Bruce Wayne is his mask. And we get to see this play out in certain scenes, like specifically like the scene when he's having dinner with Rachel Dawes and Harvey Dent. You see him playing up that playboy asshole Bruce Wayne, but when Harvey Dent starts talking about how Gotham needs Batman, you see the real Bruce Wayne kind of peeking out when Bruce Wayne realizes that Harvey Dent is the real deal and something that this town needs. And that's because of Christian Bale's very talented physical performance, making you see the different layers of Bruce Wayne just through a look. And though I did actually like his portrayal of Batman in Batman Begins a little bit better, not much, just a little bit better, the overall contrast of Batman and Bruce Wayne in this movie I thought was exceptionally done. And speaking of magnificent performances, Heath Ledger as the Joker.
Me? I was right here. Who did you leave him with?
What can I say about this performance that hasn't already been said a million times? He won an Oscar for this role, and many attribute this performance in playing a part in his death. Heath Ledger really set a new standard of what we come to expect from the Joker. And then on top of that, the character itself is written in such a way where we don't need to be bogged down with an origin story or a backstory. As a matter of fact, that's the elusiveness that we love about this character. It gives him this mysteriousness. We don't know who he is, where he came from, and that's scary. People always fear what they don't understand, which is a point that Falcone made sure to make in the first film. It still rings true into this movie with the Joker. Which brings me to my favorite scene of the movie, and not just the movie, but probably one of my favorite scenes in any movie ever. And that's the interrogation scene with Commissioner Gordon and Batman doing the good cop, bad cop thing. And the scene is not only beautifully done, but it gives us something that we've never seen before, and that's just Batman and the Joker just sitting down, talking, having a discussion. And Batman is out of his element in this moment, and we kind of learn that he's off base. He doesn't know what this Joker is, and he doesn't really fully understand the situation. So he tries to do what Batman does best and beat it out of the Joker, and ultimately the Joker just laughs in his face.
You have nothing to threaten me with.
Showing us that even in this moment where the Joker is in custody, being beat up by Batman, he still holds all the cards, and it's intense. This whole scene is just captivating to me. Maggie Gyllenhaal as Rachel Dawes.
Well, hello, beautiful.
They pulled the old switcheroo. Yeah, because, what's her face? Katie Holmes? Yeah, because Katie Holmes didn't come back because she was in weird Scientology land with Tom Cruise. I found myself not missing Katie Holmes, but actually wanting Maggie Gyllenhaal to be the one in the first movie. That's weird. I don't think that happens too often where the person they have replace the original actor I like better. So, yeah, I liked her. I thought she did a great job. I really thought her performance was genuine and a great addition to the movie. Morgan Freeman's Lucius Fox. This man gives no shits. And that's what I love about him. He's just Morgan Freeman doing Morgan Freeman things as Lucius Fox, and you can't go wrong with that. Like when that little Weasley guy comes in and tries to bribe him, Fox is just like, fuck you, what are you gonna do? Or even the Batman at the end when he sets up that whole sonar concept and he has a moral issue with the whole situation. He's like, hey, I quit after this. I'm done. Fuck you. He gives no shits. I love him. Thank you, Morgan Freeman, for being a part of this wonderful franchise. The story of Two-Face I thought was very well done. We actually get to spend time knowing Harvey Dent and his integrities and what makes him such a great person, and that really impacts us when he does become Two-Face. We see what the city actually lost. And the look of Two-Face was just out of this world, very realistic, very believable. But how long Two-Face was actually in this movie and the way they killed him off so quickly leads us right into what I'm on the fence about when it comes to this film. Two-Face was short-lived. Very short-lived, and they just killed him off at the end. They could have used his character in future films, and I think they originally planned on using his character in future films, but due to the untimely death of Heath Ledger, they rewrote the script a little bit and reshot this as Two-Face's death, and I don't think I fully understand that. I mean, they play it off well in The Dark Knight Rises, and we'll get into that when I do that review, but overall, I found it was a very odd choice to kill him off. The death of Rachel Dawes. Now, this was a very important death in the movie, and I actually don't have a problem with her death. It's very impactful to Harvey Dent's story arc, but my issue is when it comes to Bruce Wayne. Besides one little scene, I really don't see Bruce Wayne being emotional about this. We don't really get to dive into him mourning and how it truly affected him until the next film, but this is like initially when it happened, you would expect him to have at least a bigger moment of clarification and watch him dive deeper into more of an angry Batman at the end of this movie than the hopeful Batman that he became. Gotham City is no longer a living, breathing character as it was in Batman Begins, which I found to be very disappointing. It doesn't take me out of the movie too much, but it feels like a very different movie than Batman Begins. It went from feeling like a real-life Gotham City to just a real-life city that we're calling Gotham, if that makes sense. Even Wayne Tower looks completely different, and the monorail system is not here. I don't know if that's being explained because of what happened in Batman Begins, but they didn't really destroy Wayne Towers in Batman Begins, and only one section of the monorail was affected. I don't see them tearing down the entire monorail system because of that one little section that they blew away in Batman Begins. To me, the monorail in Wayne Tower is a very important element to keep this city feeling like a real character, and they just took it out, and I just very aware that I'm in Chicago watching a movie filmed in Chicago now. Scarecrow's cameo. I didn't get it. I like the fact that they're showing his previous bad guys of the movie still exist in this world, and they're out doing their bad guy things, but I don't like the way Scarecrow is portrayed in this movie. Is he just a drug dealer now? Just doesn't seem very Scarecrow-y to me. But then again, I don't really know the character Scarecrow too much. Maybe that's how he is in the comics. I'm not 100% sure. If it is, let me know in the comments below, because I'd really like to know if this is a comic book accurate type of Scarecrow. Essentially, I didn't like the way they put his cameo in this movie. I thought it could have been hashed out just a little bit better. The iconic scene where Joker crashes the fundraiser party. Now, why am I on the fence about this one? Because Batman and Rachel somehow survived this huge fall on top of the car without any explanation, and then Batman doesn't return back up to the party where Joker still is with Alfred and all these innocent people, and still Harvey Dent is there too. It was just a very skipped over piece.
So you're gonna go back up there and catch the Joker?
Nah, I'm sure everything's fine.
Why didn't they just show Joker's goons just leaving the scene randomly or something? Something to give that scene more closure other than that explanation point of them just falling on top of the car. The scene was great, but it ended poorly. Now moving on to what I don't like about this film. If you can't find anything good in a movie, then you're not looking close enough. This could also be the same with trying to find something negative about a film. So with that in mind, Salvador Maroni, played by Eric Roberts. And yes, that's Julia Roberts' brother, in case you didn't know. After the positive review I gave the crime boss Falcone in Batman Begins, this was a very bad evolution to that. I really thought this was just a copy and paste mobster. He doesn't have a powerful presence. He's just there because they need a bad mafia guy. So here you go. You get bad mafia guy 101. The Joker being the gunman and dressed up as a police officer, I found that to be very unnecessary and very unbelievable. As a matter of fact, every time I watch this scene, I'm always wondering, why does nobody question this man that nobody recognizes? It wasn't even just Joker. They had one of Joker's henchmen wearing the Rachel Dawes badge who was in line with all these other police. In this specific situation, policemen don't just stand together and happen to know what to do. They have run-throughs. They go through training. I found it to be very unbelievable and kind of unnecessary. They could have had anybody, freckled in the audience. That would have been more believable to this situation. The two-boat scene where each boat has the other boat's detonator for the bomb, and then they have to choose which one has to pull the detonator for the other one, but if they don't do it by a certain time, then they both get blown up. That's what? That whole thing is a mess to me. Number one, I don't really understand why any city would put their hardened criminals ahead of the civilians. I can't really explain that, and the movie doesn't really explain that. But there it is. Criminals get to go first for whatever fucking reason. And number two, the entire plan just doesn't need to be in this movie, and it doesn't really stand out to me in this movie. The storyline that's going on at the same time with this scene, where Batman's taking down the GCPD with all the hostages dressed like the bad guys and vice versa, I really liked that scene and remembered that scene quite well. But when I watch this movie, I always forget about the boat thing, and I'm always, oh yeah, we got that going on too. It's a very forgettable scene. Could have just taken it out. And now for some petty points, which my channel is apparently now going to have a section for because I just have so many of them. These are points I'm not really critiquing the movie over, I'm just being petty about them. They really just bug me for one random reason or another. When Batman is on his bat pod and zipping through the city and blowing up cars, he almost blows up 2 little kids. And it really makes me wonder how many other people Batman has unknowingly killed by recklessly driving and just shooting random cars because he thinks nobody's in them because they're just parked. Cell phones don't make this noise. House phones do, cell phones do not. When the Joker leaves the bank, there's absolutely no way you can convince me that he timed it perfectly with this moving train of buses, that there's this one spot specifically open and it's timed perfectly for him to fit right in without anybody even seeing him crash into the bank or leave from the bank. Don't buy it. Cool scene, don't buy it. And my final petty point is when the fire truck was ironically on fire. Never thought about that. This truck is on fire. This truck is on fire. I need to stop doing that. Instead of going down into the tunnels, they could have easily just went around this thing or down another street to go around it in another way. Okay, yeah, it moves the story forward, but again, I'm being petty. They could have went around the damn thing, so. Overall, this movie is known as one of the greatest comic book movies of all time. And this review could have been hours long if I dove into everything that I liked on a deeper level, because there's so many good things about this film. The riveting performance of Heath Ledger will forever remain as a game changer for the comic book genre, and also for the character Joker itself. This movie is a fun thrill ride from beginning to end, and for all these reasons, I'm giving this movie an A+.
That was wonderful.
Bravo!
I loved that.
Oh, it was great.
Let me know what your thoughts were in the comments below. Do you like this movie? Which I'm sure most of you do. But if you don't, I would like to hear your arguments against it in the comments below. Also, be sure to check out some more of my videos. And as always, stay trigger happy, my friends. Peace.
I don't want to kill you. What would I do without you? Go back to ripping off mob dealers? No. No, you complete me.